says, Shimmy says, Shimmy, Shimmy, Shimmy says, ask me almost anything.
Hey everyone, it's Alan Shimwell here for another episode of Shimmy Says. Shimmy Says, Shimmy Says. Thanks for joining us, whether you're watching us live on LinkedIn or maybe on our YouTube channel or textrum.tv or wherever you're watching it. I appreciate you joining in and look forward. If you have any questions or comments, feel free, if you're on live here, to put it in. I want to talk today about some irrational exuberance, perhaps, or maybe not, around the AI and data center space. You know, it's been going on now for a while, but it's certainly been accelerated with the incoming administration, who likes to parade tech oligarchs up to the White House and talk about what a commitment they're making to the AI and data center space, specifically in the U.S. But make no mistake, this is not just a U.S. pork barrel or fest of pledging dollars, a telephone for AI and data center. It's a worldwide phenomenon, whether we're talking about Europe or Asia or China, everywhere in the world, money is being pledged to plow into AI technology and data centers. And I get it, and I get the promise of AI, but if you look at the numbers, it just doesn't add up. You got to ask yourself: who are we kidding? Are we doing this to curry political favor, to keep tariffs low, or to just keep up with the Joneses? But let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. If you don't mind, I'm going to go old school on you here and come up to a flip chart and write some numbers down. I promise I won't write cursive, so you'll be able to read it. But let's just look at like some of the money that's been pledged in this AI data center telethon. Just this week, Apple pledged 500 billion. Everything I'm going to give you today is in billions, by the way. So that's from Apple. They pledged $500 billion in U.S. investment. Now, truthfully, this wasn't done as part of a President Trump thing or anything like that. It's consistent with numbers they've talked about before. But they also claim that $500 billion will lead to perhaps 20K jobs, 20,000 new jobs. Wow, sounds great. $500 billion at 20,000 new jobs means each job costs us about $25 million. Those are pretty expensive jobs. I hope people will be paid that well. But that's not all, right? We previously saw the Stargate project, with the headline by Oracle and SoftBank and OpenAI. So that's Stargate. They also pledged $500 billion and said it could lead to hundreds of thousands of jobs. Well, that's at least cheaper per job than Apple has us. But we're at $1 trillion here, guys. Let's add in some other money. Meta has pledged certainly $65 billion this year on AI data centers, but there's talk of them even going up to $200 billion. Okay? Microsoft alone, that's Meta. Microsoft, well, they've pledged for sure $65 billion of their own. 40 billion of their own, but are also working with the good folks of BlackRock, the largest, PE company in the world, on another $80 billion pledge. And with the UAE, I believe it's their sovereign fund, for $100 billion investment. That's not all U.S., by the way, but $100 billion. Then we have the DAMAC, D-A-M-A-C, DAMAC, run by that fellow from Dubai that also curries favor with the administration. They've pledged, small potatoes, a mere $20 billion to DAMAC. By the way, Microsoft says that $100+ billion will lead to the next billion jobs that are AI related. That's a billion jobs AI related, much cheaper than the Apple jobs. I don't know what our economy would be like with a billion jobs more, or a worldwide economy. I guess we could use it. Then we have Jeff Bezos. He's we're only talking about free trade and personal freedom fame. He claims Amazon is going to pledge 11 billion, mere bag of shells for Amazon, but they've already committed via AWS and Amazon to $100 billion this year in data center and capital expenditures in infrastructure like that. Not to be outdone, the royal family of Saudi Arabia, they claim, well, with their partners, and they have a few worldwide partners, to invest $14.9 billion in AI in Saudi itself. That's an awful lot of money. But, that, by the way, comes out of the business standard. Most of these other ones I came out of here were all from the business standard. So if you wanted to look them up. The UK, they haven't really announced their full project yet, but they have already pledged $14 billion. So in line with Saudi Arabia. France, of course, went out and made a bold mark, right? At that last conference, they pledged $112 billion. And not to be outdone, the EU. The EU went out and said, well, France, you're not alone. The EU stepped up for $206 billion. These are all billions with B. Now, China, well, they don't really give you the real numbers, and you don't know what they're really paying their people. But China has said that they are definitely committing $22 billion to AI. And they've also claimed that China, the state government itself, in support of the Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, the Chinese tech industry, the state is going to put in $138 billion. It's probably more than that even, but $138 billion state sponsors for Chinese tech, their version of Stargate. And then the good folks at Alibaba, one of the Chinese tech giants, have pledged another $53 billion for AI and data centers. Wow. Get your calculators out. I tried to calculate this off camera earlier. Depending on which some of these, are ranges, we're dealing with over $2 trillion. That's with a T, not a B. $2 trillion in investments in AI and data center. $2 trillion plus. $2 trillion. Now, let me put it in perspective for you. Sorry for the AIDS here, Fib, but I like to do this. So this is a chart, and hopefully you can see it. These are the top 20 countries with the largest GDP, gross domestic product, in 2024 and 2023. As you can see, the U.S. leads this past year was just shy of $30 trillion. China, 18 and change. But, and it falls off pretty rapidly from there. Germany's third, and that comes in at 4.7. Japan is at just over 4. India just under 4. UK at 3.5. But it's over $2 trillion. The amount of money pledged to AI and data centers comes in somewhere around here between Italy and Canada. right? In the top 10. So the amount pledged to AI and data centers is bigger than the GDP of, except maybe the top 6 or 7 countries in the world. It exceeds that. Now, where are we spending $2 trillion? Well, probably maybe as much as half of it. I'm going to sit back down here. Maybe as much as half of it goes to semiconductors. Well, that's an awful lot of semiconductors. I'd be buying more Jensen Huang's NVIDIA too if I were you. That's $1 trillion in semiconductor sales. A lot of it's going to go to generating electricity for all these data centers and all these AI processors and cooling them down and everything. We don't have the electrical capacity to do this. So we're going to need to build electrical infrastructure or maybe come up with new electrical technologies that are more efficient, less wasteful, more sustainable. Though sustainability seems to be a dirty word in the U.S. these days. Or you could take another view. Is this all nonsense? Is this just people wanting to stake their flag in the race? How much will actually be spent? How much do we know of this will actually work? Right? How much of it is going to, because we've seen this cycle before, right? The last time Trump was president, the guy from SoftBank marched his butt up there. And I think he at that time pledged $50 billion and was going to do, 50,000 jobs or something, still cheaper than Apple's jobs, $1 million job. 50,000, and it was dubious whether it was spent. By the way, this doesn't include the money that was included under the Biden administration for the CHIP Act to build chip foundries and data centers and so forth. I'm all for a digital future. I've been in the digital world for 30 plus years. But in the words of Alan Greenspan, is this irrational exuberance? Is this just people trying to flatter the administration and the president in particular so that he doesn't impose tariffs on them? Is this the world involved in making up an AI gap? Like there was a missile gap with the Soviets? By the way, we haven't heard anything. I don't know if Russia has this kind of money to be putting in here. Their GDP last year was supposedly only $2.184 trillion. There's more, it's about what we're investing in AI and data centers alone. As a user here is writing, this signals a shift towards AI-driven economics, cloud expansion, and computing power dominance. I hope so. Because there's another school of thought that says, hey, AI is relatively unproven. We don't know how game-changing it's going to be. It certainly has the promise to be game-changing. I believe it could be game-changing as much as the internet itself was. But at what price? At what price? Right? I don't know. Where could that $2 trillion be used? Is it something for space? Is it for medical research? Is it to make sure no one's hungry or dying of measles in this country? Is it supporting our aging population? Maybe we need it for more jobs, right? We have less people who are going to be working. We need AI to do more of these jobs. AI, agentic AI, robotic AI, all of the above. What we're really building, as Jensen Huang says, is our AI factories. And that's what these data centers represent. Or is this really all just political stunts? I don't know what the right answer is and what's true or not true here. What I do know is we certainly seem to be in some sort of bubble and hyperinflation or hyper-expansive kind of area. If I was a young person out there, I'd be thinking about how do I ride this wave? But at the end of the day, I don't even remember this in the dot-com days, and I was right in the middle of the dot-coms. We have seen nothing like this. It has the potential to change the world economic order Strap in because I think we're in for a ride, guys. This is Shimmy Says. We'll see you next Thursday.
Shimmy says, shimmy says, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy says, ask me almost anything.